Welcome, everyone, and that's actually the title of our first song. We're waiting for Bert. Here we go. Welcome, welcome, I'm glad you're here with me. Did you know you're one with God for eternity? Welcome, welcome, I'm glad you're here with me. You're not a stranger anymore, now you're family. Welcome, welcome, I'm glad you're here with me. Did you know you're one with God for eternity? Welcome, welcome, I'm glad you're here with me. You're not a stranger anymore, now you're family.
Wonderful. Thank you, bands. Welcome, family. Happy first Sunday of autumn. It is such a glorious, glorious day. Isn't it nice and crisp this morning? You know, one thing I love about the change of seasons, it's that reminder that wherever we are, as beautiful as it is, all things must pass, right? There's always going to be a change. So as beautiful as it is, or as maybe as toasty warm as the summer was, we get to look forward to these crisp, crisp mornings. So as I was driving in this morning, I love to play this little game with my angels. And keep in mind, I only live 1.5 miles from here, and I've driven that road a few times. But I always have this game where let me see something new. Give me some words or directions for this morning, because I don't like to prepare for this. I like God to work through me. So these were the 3 words: passion, partnership, and total energy. And I thought that was so cool. So these were just little signs on the way. It was just passion, partnership, total energy. And that's how I feel here. Once I came in, we were talking about different Unity churches and how some of them are not quite, it's not that they're unfriendly, it's just that they're really big and very corporate is a word. Our church isn't. We're family. So the welcome and we are family. It's wonderful. So I heard there was a fantastic turnout for the World Day of Peace, the first annual in Appleton, but this is a tradition that has been going on for quite some time. So congratulations to everybody who was there. Those of you who helped, can you stand up? Everybody, all the band and Carrie, and we really want to acknowledge all of you guys because, yes, thank you so much for what you did, for showing up. I had a neighbor, we were walking our dogs. I had a neighbor and my husband was wearing our Appleton t-shirt the other day. And she said, Unity, were you guys at Herb Park? Because she had taken her little girl and they wandered over because of you. So I think that's wonderful, kind of putting Unity out there in the community. So really quickly, I have, because most people like a joke. So this is a piece of paper that's called Religious Truths, okay? I'm going to substitute a word that's on here. I'm going to use the word stuff, okay? So Taoism, stuff happens. Confucianism, Confucius say, stuff happens. Buddhism, if stuff happens, it is not really stuff. Zen Buddhism, what is the sound of stuff happening. Hinduism, this stuff happened before. Islam, if stuff happens, it is the will of Allah. Protestantism, let stuff happen to someone else. Catholicism, if stuff happens, you deserved it. And Judaism, why does stuff always happen to us? So with that, I did notice one thing being in many Unity churches is the word God is sometimes not used anymore because, some people are from more traditional religions. They find the term God offensive. And one thing I love about us is we have all of these symbols up here of different religions, which is what inspired this. But I was talking with this gentleman, and he was talking about the word God means all of these things, right? It means everything. So you insert the word that is most comfortable to you. And to get us ready for today's service, I'm just going to lead you through just a little, just a very brief prayer. And so I would just ask that you just go within and just relax into this moment and release everything that led to now, to be in this moment. To the little thought bubbles that may arise, remind them there is only one presence. I am one with the one presence. There is only one power. I am one as the one power. This presence and power is all that is active in my life. It expresses as me, God, the good, omnipotence. I am active as God. I am active as good. I am active as omnipotence. And so it is. Namaste and amen. I don't have my cheat sheet here. All right, so now if you would, join me as we say together our vision statement. A world powerfully transformed through shared spiritual awakening. And our mission, advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. And our values are abundance, acceptance, community, diversity, integrity, joy, and love. And we celebrate our children together. Unity of Appleton sees the divinity in all children and nurtures their unfolding spirituality. Today's daily word. Actually, go ahead and let's go within again, and I'm going to read this to you and know that these are the words of God. Today's word is healing. Divine life lives as me. I am whole and well. When I am experiencing a healing need, I focus my thoughts beyond illness and discomfort. Even as I seek treatment for the injury or illness, I see myself whole. I remember that I am created in the image according to the likeness of God. I know my life is God's life, living as me. Divine life fills every cell, strengthening every muscle, bone, and organ, and quickens every nerve in my body. It restores perfect order to all my body's functions, releasing and replacing anything unlike itself. When someone asks me to pray with them, I do not ask about their symptoms or circumstances. I affirm the healing activity of divine life in each one with whom I pray. I see them as the spiritual beings they are, whole and well. In John 1:14, in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. And again, the affirmation, divine life lives as me. I am whole and well. Say that with me. Divine life lives as me. I am whole and well.
I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honeybees and snow white turtle doves. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. I'd like to see the world for once all standing hand in hand, and hear them echo through the hills for peace throughout the land. That's the song I hear. Let the world sing today, a song of peace that echoes on and never goes away. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. I'd like to see the world for once all standing hand in hand, and hear them echo through the hills for peace throughout the land, and hear them echo through the hills for peace throughout the land.
And now I would invite, and I don't need to introduce them because you all know this lovely couple, Reverends Marypatriece, MP, and Tom Wendt.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We are so excited to be here. We got to chat and visit and hear all about your last weekend. So we'll probably refer to that a little bit today. So I looked at the sky. It looked cloudy and bland, but nothing concerning. The sun poked out here and there more than one time. I felt confident the day would go well. I continued with my morning running errands and making phone calls, answering emails and texts. All right, it's a little bit more cloudy now. Still not worried. I kept checking the weather report. It said we were having rain right now, and I walked out and there was nothing going on. People make mistakes. We even weather people. I'm fine with that. I won't hold it against them at all. Not today. The last I looked, it said we'd get rain from 3:30 to 6, and then from 8 o'clock on. I had a running conversation in my mind with that higher power. No, this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen today. This is World Peace Day, and it was divinely inspired by you. I know you're going to support us through it. I just kind of had this vision of me like, on the side here, like, oh, so you got a hit for me, huh? You want me to do this job for you. Well, I have some needs. This is not just a one-way street. I need you to do some things for me too. Like, I'm going to need some volunteers, and I'm going to need a really nice day, and I really need, to have some sponsors to do this gig, okay? So if you can do that, then I'll do the job for you. I'll show up. I'll do it. You can't let this fall apart, right? This is your job. I'm just here doing it. I'm here the feet to make that happen. So I get in the car, I run to go pick up the T-shirts and headed for the center. And as I walk in, one of my team members asks, so is it here or is it going to be on the square? And I said, we are going to the square. We are powering through this. Despite some concerned looks of the people around me, I'm like, we're going to do this. We are, because there's going to be a higher power that steps in and makes this work, right? The time got closer, and we're gathering things up to move over to the square, and oh my gosh, the clouds are looking a little thicker. And as we step out with these wagons of materials that we're moving over, this light drizzle starts. Okay, it's just a light drizzle. Okay, that's not a big deal. And by 4 o'clock, the drizzle got to be a little bit heavier. Like 4:30, our vendors are coming. 4:30, they're going to start showing up and setting up. And okay, let's just get this moved out of the way. We'll get it out of your system, and then we'll be on to our evening, right? It's still raining. Several of the vendors don't end up showing up. Other ones do, the diehards. I'm like, yes, you're here. Thank you for coming. They're setting up and wanting to get under that canopy as soon as they can because it's still raining. So we all kind of huddled underneath our canopies and chatted, and you can hear laughter and people going back and forth and running around, and the band members are setting up on the gazebo, and Tom was out there with a broom sweeping off the water so that they didn't put their instruments or any of their equipment into the puddles. John chapter 18, verse 36 says, "My kingdom is not of this world." So this is my story so far. More on that later.
Well, I wonder what it is that drives me to create stories whenever something doesn't go the way I think they should go. I usually create some kind of story about it that seems to assuage me but doesn't resolve anything. Let me give you an example. We have some extraordinary neighbors just right next to us with 2 young kids, 6 months, 4 years of age, and others on the other side, about 4 and 8 or so. And these parents, they love their children, and they strive to give them everything, in our world. And a common toy I see around the neighborhood, toy for lack of a better word, are these very large size automobile, Jeep replicas and motorcycle replicas and whatnot. They're battery powered, and these kids, maybe 3 and 4 years old, are driving these on the sidewalks, right? Well, one of our neighbors took it the next step further, and he built a couple of go-karts for the kids, and he used 2 batteries in these go-karts, and they go like hell. And the kids operate them on the street, and they do donuts with them. I mean, these are kind of powerful little machines, and they'll race each other and try to outdo each other in various forms, as kids will do right there on the road. And the story I tell myself when I see this is, hey, this is dangerous. And these parents are responsible and loving and caring. It's almost like out of character that they would do this. And I imagine my story, a car driven by a distracted driver tearing around the corner, which they do, and not seeing the kids and something awful happening. So that's the story I tell myself. And that story resolves nothing at all, does it? But it allows me to judge the parents. I seem to get some satisfaction out of that. What I say here stays here, okay? And all you guys listening out there, too. It just stays here. I participated in something called the Landmark Forum earlier this year. The forum's aim is to make our lives just better and more in integrity. And they talked about unworkability in our lives. Unworkability. Unworkability is when something isn't right, when others aren't acting in a responsible manner, when I have no answers, when circumstances don't seem to make sense to me, when I'm frustrated or angry. You get the point. That's workability, unworkability. Like when kids are on the street in go-karts. That's an unworkable situation for my mind. And that's when I create a story about what's happening to assuage my emotions. Right? Somewhere to put them, it seems like. And what we talked about in the forum is that very thing. The story in my mind seems to equal an answer, but it doesn't resolve anything. It doesn't accomplish anything productive. So rather than having a good story, what if I took the story out of it and acted instead in integrity? What would that look like? Well, here's what I did. We're standing out front. The parents raised the issue of the go-karts. We're just talking about them. And I stated, I said, I have to tell you this. When your kids are on the go-karts, I'm really fearful that someone could come around that corner and something awful can happen. I'm not sure these 4-year-old brains could handle all of the emergencies that could happen. And I'm just so afraid that they could be harmed. And I said this without judgment, just out of concern, in integrity. And you know what? The parents agreed. And stated, we're concerned too. And that in the future, maybe we could have the kids go down to the cul-de-sac down there where there's no through traffic and it would be safer. Apparently, we were all telling ourselves the same stories on some level, weren't we? And not stating them aloud. Well, it seems like integrity won out. It seems like it did. And all I did was share my real story, the concerns I had, the story of integrity for these children. So I'll ask you, is there anywhere in your life where you're telling yourself a story, but it doesn't come to any kind of resolution? Do you need to share what's in your mind, what's on your mind and in your mind somewhere in your life? And is there somewhere in your life where you could speak up? Something to think about.
New York University says, stories bring facts to life, make the abstract concrete, and through meaning making, walk the listener through the mind of the speaker to understand the value and the application of the concepts. Wells of 1986 argued that storytelling is a fundamental means of making meaning. It is the same for spiritual teachings. I wanted to understand the value and the application of my World Peace Day journey in the story that I was seeing unfold, that I was telling myself. So 6:30 comes around, World Peace Day last Thursday, and the rain let up. 6:30 is the start of the presentation portion of our event. There were a handful of people besides all the volunteers that were there on the square. And as it was time to begin, just like the rain, it unfolded unexpectedly at times. Maybe a somewhat tardy speaker, another that canceled at the last minute, and rearranging the order of everything of the ceremony on the fly. That was my job. But the rain stopped, and we made it through, and the T-shirts looked awesome. I could see where everyone was on the square, no matter how dark it got. Tom said to me when it was over, he says, "You should be proud of this event. What a success. You had great speakers and nearly half of your congregation involved." That was pretty much everyone there. But there were a few people that came along. There were people walking the square that would have been privy, and I saw some sit along the outer edge off in the distance. Still, I felt exhausted and really unsettled inside. I had in the Bible verse of John that says, "My kingdom is not of this world," came up. I woke up at 12:30 in the morning to a mind that was on fire with what I didn't do well, what I could have done better, what I could have this and that and who and what and on and on and on. Have you ever had that happen to you? Like, oh my gosh, can I get off this track? It went on for 2 hours. I got up the next day and went off to work with the effects of the night still on my mind. And it was weighing pretty heavily. I was taking responsibility for the fact that it rained, that, a couple of speakers felt, oh, I don't have to be here exactly at that time. And, I was feeling like, gosh, what should I have done differently? I felt I had failed in many ways. The event didn't run as smoothly as I thought it in my mind, as smoothly as I planned it. And I kept arguing inside with this thinking and saying, but you tried something new and different. You give yourself a little bit of grace. Mm-hmm. You can learn and grow from this experience, and you're modeling that being human is okay. You don't, or it doesn't have to be perfect. This is the story I was trying to move into more. So later Friday afternoon, I started getting texts from my board members and that they were celebrating the success of the event and how glad they were to be part of it. And I'm like, ooh, really? You really felt that way? And I received a message from one of our board members who wore her t-shirt the next day to the grocery store in the town next door. And she said, this woman came up to me and she said, my husband and I were on the square having dinner, and we stopped in afterwards and listened. And the talk from the person that represented FaithBridge was so interesting, I'm going to check it out and get involved. And I really liked the ceremony, and I appreciated the meditation. I also received an email from one of our speakers that said, what, your dream came true. He said, I was so glad to be part of this event that after I stepped off of the platform, I met up with some big stakeholders that I needed to talk to. So thank you for letting me be part of that. And let's stay in touch. And personally, I got to meet a county board member who was one of our speakers that is so interesting that I said, I'd like to get together for coffee and talk more. Can we have some conversation around that? And she spoke about and represented our LGBTQ community and what she was doing to help that. So what was my problem? What was my problem? I was applying my idea of what success should be in the physical sense. Bodies walking around, dry weather, plans that flow in the order I planned them, and feeling that this is the picture of what success should look like. I was applying my human idea of success to what I was working to make a spiritual success in holding an intention of peace in a community and sharing with them different people that could collaborate and work together and make this whole evening possible. And we did that. We did that. Within our own congregation, we had nearly half of our congregation on the grounds in shirts, moving and talking and listening and being part of something bigger than any one of us could have done on our own. We connected with the city of Woodstock. We connected with the fire department agents, people we never have met before that have no idea who we are. And often a lot of these people think we're weird because we're from Unity. They don't understand us. We just bridged over into a new circle of community, of connection, of ideas of working together. John 18, verse 36. My kingdom is not of this world, not of my ideas of what this world should look like. The kingdom of higher thinking and creating cannot be held to the standards of this outer world. So I'm telling a new story. And I understand that Unity of Appleton has their own amazing story for their World Peace Day. We got to hear a lot about it last night, and wow-wee! How amazing! Congratulations in how you showed up to present an intention for a day that is special for something we all truly want, no matter what faith background or what organization you're coming from. How amazing are you? Congratulations. You could have said, gosh, we're just a little congregation. We can't hold an idea this big. We don't have enough people to do this. We don't have the time to put it together. Gosh, this is way bigger than we are. Somebody else should take that on. You put it on. You owned it. You manifested it. And look what, you are on TV. How incredible was that? But you could have reasonably honored every one of those reasons not to do it. And no one would have batted an eye. They would have totally understood. You pushed through the apparent obstacles that presented themselves, and you said, no, we can. We're going to power through. We're doing this anyway. Congratulations. Job well done.
Our elder brother and master teacher, Jesus of Nazareth, was a master storyteller. His aphorisms and the parables that he shared, often while not factual, represented truths. And they represented truths that the listeners would be wise to examine. Two sayings that Jesus spoke in order to encourage his followers to examine their cultural stories. One was in Luke. He said, if someone strikes you on one cheek, turn to him the other also. And from Matthew, if someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. During Jesus' times, a Roman soldier had the right to slap one of the peasants of the area. You need to, for disrespect or insubordination. We need to remember that the Romans were a totalitarian occupying force in ancient Palestine. They kept the lid on things. They would also force a peasant to carry, a soldier could force a peasant to carry their gear for 1 mile, or a specific distance anyway, if that's what they wanted. Jesus' suggestions would have been met from resistance from the listeners. What, I'm supposed to, what, help the Roman soldier? Jesus' urging is for the peasants to take control, to exhibit their power in a cultural environment where the Romans had all the power. Okay, struck me here, go ahead, take another shot. All right, I've carried your gear for a mile, come on, I'll carry it for another. It was a way that the listeners could realize they can value their own worth, they could live in integrity, and they could express at least some level of power in an environment in which they were almost absolutely powerless. A parable he shared in Gospel of Matthew is the one where he says, the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy he sold everything he had and bought that field. This is the kingdom of heaven he's talking about. I'm not so clear on this one, because this one raises a lot of questions. The treasure belonged to the landowner. If you find something in someone's house that you like, what, are you supposed to buy the house so that you have it? It's the homeowner's, it's the landowner's property that this man found. Is he saying that the kingdom of heaven is more complex than simple bullet points? That it involves difficult choices? I can tell you this, the kingdom of heaven I live in involves all kinds of difficult choices. Lastly, I want to say he told stories by means of his life and the way he lived it. The inclusion of women and children, which had no power or respect in that particular culture at that time. He openly defied the Pharisees and the scribes, who were the people of prestige in that culture, and he challenged traditional cultural narratives by the story he told, by living his life. So in closing, I want to invite you all to examine the tales and the stories you tell. What accounts are you telling yourself that could free you by sharing them with others, as I did with the kids on the go-karts? Where would you best be served by speaking up? Are you willing to examine your internal dialogue that keep us locked in the paradigms that we think we have to live within, and keep us locked in unsatisfactory family or cultural or work situations? And lastly, I want to reflect on the World Day of Peace for both ministries. I don't recall when you heard about it, but it was before January of last year. And you immediately started telling yourself a story. She said, we could do this. I started thinking, whoa. I started with probably a different story that I frankly kept to myself, which is probably a good thing. At no time did you ever tell a story that doubted yourself. You know, I'm going to talk to the mayor. I'm going to visit every business on the square. All the things you were going to do, the stories just kept rolling out. And you know what happened? We had a highly successful World Peace Day. The same is true with you. All those stories you alluded to that you could have told, and probably some of you did. I mean, that's human. I say that out of objectivity, not criticism. But the stories that took hold were the ones that said, we've never done this before, but we could do it. If they could do it, we could do it. You know? Our lives are largely determined by the stories we tell. That's just the simple truth. That's unity principle number 3, hitting the ground where the rubber meets the road. It's the thoughts we held in mind that produce after their kind. Most of the thoughts are in stories. So the last thing I'll say is, we're inviting you to choose your stories very carefully. God bless you all. Namaste. So we're going to transition from this exciting time of possibility into a quieter time of possibility, a guided meditation. So I'm going to invite you all to just relax into your chairs and feel fully supported. And why not feel at home? Because, on a Sunday morning, you're at home here. This is another home you have, another family in which your integrity is welcome. So please, dear friends, just relax. Simply relax. Let my voice be a background that supports your mind going where it will during this time. May you be peaceful. May you be happy. May you be well. Simply breathe, and be here now. Let your shoulders drop just a little bit as the tension leaves your body. Oh. Thank you, Spirit, for my spiritual home. Thank you, God, for all that is. I am peace. I am happy. I am well. In this time of reflection, we listen. Just listen. I am peaceful. I am happy. I am well. My life is a life of peace. My life is a happy life. Today and beyond, I share my peace with others. Today and beyond, I express my happiness with others. It is no wonder I am well. thank you, Mother, Father, God. Allah, sweet Spirit, the Beloved, thank you. Thank you for the peace, the happiness, and the wellness that is me. And so it is. Amen.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Now we move from our beautiful meditative state to our affirmation of prosperity. This is the time when those of us who think of Unity of Appleton as our spiritual home, as our family, we practice putting Spirit first in our financial affairs, in our financial life. When we do this, it prospers the whole spiritual community, the community we love, and it supports our own spiritual growth and prosperity. So if you can please connect with the guidance of Spirit in you and give whatever amount Spirit guides you to give. Whatever that amount is, take it in your hands and bless it with your love. If you are one of the many of us who give electronically, take the gift into your heart. Feel free to bless the plate as it passes by and let yourself feel gratitude to God in you as your one source. Then please join in our affirmation of prosperity. Unity of Appleton is alive with the energy of Spirit, in the flow of divine abundance and radiant with unlimited possibilities. And join me in our celebration of giving and receiving. Divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I joyfully give and willingly receive. I give in love, and I trust God as my source.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Beautiful. And in this place of knowing that there is only love, raise your hands and with me, let's bless these gifts and offerings and those who gave them willingly and freely of their heart, knowing that this is simply a material expression of our true prosperity. Thank you, Father Okay, and now we get to the fun part, the announcements part. So, all right, again, great big thank you to all these beautiful, beautiful angels, everybody who showed up to Herb Park to set up and tear down and be there and just represent unity out in the community. So bless you, bless you, bless you. Our Sunday morning Mastery of Love book study continues and will likely finish up in October. If we can gather upstairs, we'll get started no later than 11:30. Is there anything we'd like to add about that? Nope.
We're down toward the last 4 chapters.
Okay, 4 chapters.
Jump in anytime.
Beautiful. Sarah Landon and Mike Dooley have a book, The Dream, The Journey, Eternity, and God. Anyone is welcome for this book study, and it is Monday nights at 6 o'clock, and talk to Louise or Julie for more information. Starting October 1st, the Unity Care Team. So here's our mission: to offer compassionate support to our congregants. There are activities that would be elder care outreach and support during illness and transitions. There are forms at the table near the prayer request box, and if anybody has questions, go ahead and contact Karen, and her email is there, kasophie@msn.com, or call her at 612-214-1268. There is a town hall gathering after the service on October 8th. The board will be here. Get your questions ready, because they'll be here to answer them. More details to come. And now we will say our prayer for protection, and I ask you all to stand up and open your hearts as we together say, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God protects us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yea, God.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. We've got unity, together we are free. We've got unity, together we are free. We've got unity, together we are free. We are free, we are free, we are free. No more walls and fear, together love is here. No more walls and fear, together love is here. No more walls and fear, together love is here. Love is here, love is here, love is here.
Thank you for joining us. Well, and here we are. We didn't have this last week because we had to get over and set up for our Peace Day. And we're very glad to have you here as always, and especially to hear about your Peace Day celebration and how you powered through despite your weather. We were blessed to have beautiful weather for our own. And Tom and Marypatriece stayed with Carrie and me last night. We were honored to host them, and we shared lots of stories and lots of stuff. It was good, really good.
We know a lot about you.
Yeah, and we know more about them. It's all good.